Hello everyone, welcome to Assist Biology. In this video, we will see about pregnancy and embryonic development, and this is the sixth part and the last part from the chapter Human Reproduction. So before starting this video, let me introduce what we will learn today. We will see how the zygote is completing its development to form the fetus, that is what are the various structure formed by the zygote or what are the pathways through which the zygote transverse before forming the fetus. Then we will see what is the gestation period. We will see what is placenta, what role does it play in the child development or the fetus development. Then we will see what are the various hormones secreted by the different organ that is your placenta, ovaries, and what are the role of this hormone we will discuss. Then we will see what are the various stages of the embryonic development, that is what are the stages, that is the zygote to morula, blastula, gastrula, embryo, fetus, all of these things. Then we will see what is parturition and what is lactation, and we will also see where the mother milk is best for the baby. In many times might be in TV, newspaper, we have come across that the mother milk is best for baby. What is the reason associated with it, we will see. So first of all, one question starts with a question. So at one time, did we really look alike? The answer is yes. We look alike when we are zygote, when we are in the zygotic stage, or you can say single cell stage, that is formed by the fusion of the male and female gamete, and soon we grow into an embryo, that is after the zygote through blastula, morula, then embryo will be formed. So what are the changes taking place? The eyes is formed, the backbone, that is the our backbone that holds the spinal cord inside it, that will be formed. Limb buds are obvious, that will form two forelimb and two hind limb. And about the various structure and various complexity we will see. So but one thing, yes, at one time all of us look similar. So what is the growth and development of embryo? So after the implantation, that is the embedment of the trophoblast cell, or we can say the blastocyst, into the uterine cavity or the uterine endometrium, the embryonic development starts, and this process continues up to the 8th week after the fertilization. And what happens during this time? The embryo grows in size, that is obviously from a single cell stage it will form a multicellular organism, so the embryo will increase in size and it will become more complex, that is the complexity is increasing with due course of time. It will develop the specialized cell, that is the cell will be differentiated to perform various functions. Some cell will be destined for digestion, some cell will be destined for the circulation, and other cell may be destined for different purpose, that may be movement, locomotion, etc. And what happens, all of these things, that is the differentiation. Differentiation means designating a special, that is a specific function to a cell, and the mode of the development of the cell to perform that particular function is the differentiation. So what happens, the trophoblast differentiate into two layers, that is the, we have already discussed about the blastocyst, that is the blastocyst is having two layers, or we can say two cell mass, that is trophoblast is the outermost layer and the inner cell is called the inner cell mass is called the embryoblast, because the embryo will form the, that is the embryoblast will form the embryo proper, that's why it is called as embryoblast. So outer layer secrete enzyme to dissolve the endometrium of uterus, we have already seen this, and by virtue of this process it will become embedded in the uterine cavity. So there is a chemical dialogue between the endometrial lining and the trophoblast, and this ensures the implantation. At this time, that is the outer layer will form the, that is the trophoblast will form the means the connection between the endometrium lining and the fetus, or the, that is the developing blastocyst, and the inner layer, that is the inner layer of the trophoblast, will form the finger like projection, and these finger like projection are called as chorionic villi. That finger like projection will help to penetrate the uterine stroma better, and what happens, they will provide more surface area, so they become surrounded by the uterine tissues and the maternal blood vessels. The chorionic villi and the uterine tissue become interdigitated, that is they will get intermingled with each other. That means if you are seeing this, you will not be able to distinguish which part is chorionic villi and which part is the uterine tissue. That's why it is called as interdigitated, and they form a structure and functional unit that is called as placenta. So whenever question come what is placenta, it is a structural and functional unit formed by interdigitation of the tissues of the uterine tissues or uterus and the chorionic villi, that is the part of the trophoblast. So the placenta is connecting link between the fetus and the mother. Why this is connecting link? Because this ensure the supply of the nutrients, supply of the respiratory gases like oxygen, and it also help in expelling out the harmful gases like carbon dioxide during the embryonic development. As in fetus the heart is not completely formed, so blood circulation is also taken over by the placenta. The lungs is not completely formed, that's why the respiration is also taken over by the placenta. So this is the connecting link between the embryo and the mother, or you can say fetus and the mother, and it secretes a number of hormones, that is the human chorionic gonadotropin. As we have already known, gonadotropin means they will stimulate the gonads to secrete the hormone. Here the gonadotropin, that is the HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin, will stimulate the ovaries, okay. And human placental lactogen, as the name suggests, lactogenic means milk producing, so the human placental lactogen will stimulate the mammary gland to secrete more and more milk. And what is this role? Means what is, why this is necessary? This is necessary because it will provide more, that is it will prepare itself to secrete more milk for the child that will be that is undergoing development to form the, that is to take the birth. Then the human chorionic somatomammotropin. So here the name suggests somatomammotropin means this will stimulate the, this will also stimulate the mammary gland to secrete more and more milk after the birth. Then the estrogen and progesterone, these things are required to maintain the pregnancy. So the various hormone, that is human chorionic gonadotropin, human placental lactogen, human chorionic somatomammotropin, that is whenever the word chorionic will term, then it will be secreted by placenta, you must remember this. And the estrogen, progesterone, they are secreted by the ovary. And why this is necessary? This is necessary to maintain the pregnancy, that is to accurately maintain the endometrial lining, that is the endometrial lining must be supplied with blood vessels to maintain the placenta. These things are required. And umbilical cord is the structure that connect placenta with uterus. So the structure that connect placenta with uterus is called the umbilical cord. So here you can see how the deoxygenated blood is moving away, how the oxygenated blood is carried here. You can see this is the developing embryo, this is the amniotic fluid, this is the umbilical cord, and the network of capillaries in the placenta. So here what happens, the oxygenated blood is coming here the oxygenated blood is coming, this is being taken here, taken inside, and here you can see the red color is the oxygenated blood and the bluish color is the deoxygenated blood. So the oxygenated blood enters the fetus and the deoxygenated blood leaves the fetus. The arrow shows the direction of the movement of blood. So here you can see this is the placenta. Here this part is the placenta. These are the veins and the arteries of the placenta, and they will supply blood to the developing fetus. Now what happens, as we have already discussed, the inner cell must differentiate. That is, we already discussed the cell will undergo repeated division and they will be specialized, they will undergo differentiation to form the different cell layer. So they differentiate to form an outer layer called as ectoderm, and the inner layer is called endoderm, and middle layer is formed. Here you can see the diagram, this is the zygote, this is the blastula, and here you can see this is the blastopore, that is the opening of the archenteron. This is not in your syllabus. Now you can see the ectoderm, endoderm, middle layer, sorry, endoderm is the inside layer, and here the mesoderm is not shown, but mesoderm will be formed in between the ectoderm and the endoderm. The red colored portion you can see, this is the mesoderm, and inside is the endoderm, inside will be the endoderm, and the outside will be the ectoderm. Middle layer will be the mesoderm. So different structure are formed from different germinal layer. So these are called the germinal layer. These three germ layer, that is the primary germ layer, will give rise to other organ. For example, the neural tissues, brain, these are formed by the ectoderm. The endoderm will form the digestive system. The mesoderm will form the connective tissues like blood, muscles, etc. Now we will see which structure that is inside the fetus, in the fetus, which structure is formed at how much duration of the pregnancy. So after 1 month, what happens? Heart is formed. Before the formation of heart, the placenta is acting as the supplier of the oxygenated blood and for the removal of the deoxygenated blood. After 1 month, heart is formed, and the formation of heart, that is the heart or the beating of the heartbeat is the first sign of the growing fetus. By the end of the second month, that is after the completion of the second month, what happens? Limbs, that is the forelimbs and hind limbs, and the digits, that is the, you can see the, in the fingers, in the toe there are digit, they are formed. By the end of the third month, each means 3 month, each 3 month is called one trimester. For example, first, second and third month will constitute the first trimester. Then the second trimester will be the 4th, 5th, 6th month, and the third trimester will be the 7, 8, 9 months. So trimester is the scientific word here. The first trimester, that is the, by the end of third month, what happens? Most of the organ system are formed, that is the digestive, respiratory, etc. Then what happens? During the 5th month, eruption of hair will take place on head. That is the fetus will bear small hairs on head, and fetus show little development in the amniotic fluid. As you have seen, the amniotic fluid is surrounding the fetus, and this provides cushion to the baby for movement, or you can say it protects the baby from the injury. By the end of the 6th month, what happens? That is the, by the completion of the second trimester, body is covered with fine hair. So by the end of the 5th month, hair formation is taking place in the head only. By the end of the 6th month, that is the hair formation is throughout the body. As the mammals are having hair throughout the body, so small hair, that is fine hair, will be formed, that is will be produced all over the body, and the eyelids separate and the eyelashes are formed. Then what happens? By the end of 8th month, testes in case of male fetus descend into the scrotum. So these are the reproductive organ. Testes will descend into the scrotum, in case of male fetus, and this takes place through the inguinal canal. If the testes will not descend into the scrotum before birth, that is at the 8th month, this will lead to a medical condition called as inguinal hernia, and this is very harmful. This is means treated with surgery. So the testis will descend into the scrotum by the end of 8th month. Then by the end of 9th month, the fetus is completely matured, that is all the hands, legs, that is forelimb and hind limb, eyelids, hair, heart, etc. all are formed, and they are ready for the delivery. So here you can see how the development is taking place. Here you can just analyze the fertilized egg, 2 cell, 4 cell, 8 cell, 16 cell blastocyst. Then you can see the embryo here, and these two are fetus. So how the development is taking place, and it is forming a complete baby. Then what is parturition? So after the gestation period, first of all, what is gestation period? That is the duration of pregnancy, that is the time period for which the fetus remain inside the womb or inside the mother body, inside the uterus, is called gestation period. And this is different for different animal. For human being, it is 9.5 months or approximately 9 months in human beings. Then what happens? The fully distended uterus, because the uterus is having the baby, so this is distended, and it initiate secretion of various hormones. And the ovary, that is the primary sex organ in the female, will produces a hormone called as relaxin. You remember the name relaxin. So this facilitates parturition. So parturition is the expulsion of baby from the female body or the female uterus through the cervix and vagina. So this is the parturition, and that facilitated parturition by softening the connective tissues of the symphysis pubica. So the symphysis pubica, this is the tissue at the uterus, that is the at the end of the uterus, so near the cervix and vagina. So this symphysis pubica becomes softened under the influence of the relaxin hormone, and this relaxin hormone, after the that is the loosening or softening of the connective tissues of the symphysis pubica, after that what happens, mild contraction are that is produced, that is called as the fetal ejection reflex. Why this is called fetal ejection reflex? Because these reflex lead to expulsion of the fetus from the female body are induced. So under the influence of the relaxin, fetal ejection reflex are induced, which trigger the release of oxytocin. So the fetal ejection reflex under the influence of the relaxin will trigger the release of oxytocin from the posterior pituitary. Actually that is the posterior pituitary only releases oxytocin, but the hypothalamus actually synthesizes the oxytocin. As you have already know, the posterior pituitary do not secrete any hormone, that is do not produce any hormone, only they releases two hormone, that is oxytocin and vasopressin, that is also called as ADH, antidiuretic hormone. So oxytocin induces stronger contraction of the uterine muscles, which ultimately lead to expulsion of baby through the birth canal, and this process is called parturition. So what is parturition? That is the expulsion of baby through the birth canal or through cervix and vagina, and this is called as parturition. So various hormones are there, relaxin is there, then oxytocin is there. So the source also you have to remember from where it is secreted and where does it causes its action. All of these things you have to remember. And after the parturition of the baby, the umbilical cord, that is the attachment between the placenta and the fetus and the placenta itself, will be fall off or will be expelled out. So after the expulsion of the placenta and the remnants of the umbilical cord, the parturition process is completed. And what happens when it is inside the inside the womb? The placenta is responsible for the transport of the respiratory gases, but after it comes out of the womb, then it will start producing, that is the it will start its own breathing. Now lactation. So lactation is the supply of the milk to the fetus or to the child after birth. So the mammary gland undergoes development during the pregnancy under the influence of human placental lactogen. We have already seen this is secreted by placenta. So this is HPL, human placental lactogen, and the human chorionic somatomammotropin. So this is the HCS hormone and the progesterone. So sorry for the spelling mistake, this will be progesterone. And this after the under the influence of the progesterone, HCS and HPL, the mammary gland undergo development, that is the alveoli will be little bit bigger, and this start producing milk by the end of pregnancy by the process of lactation. So the lactation is stimulated by the suckling of the nipple by the baby, and the milk that comes out from the mammary gland just after birth is called as colostrum. So the colostrum is the first milk of the mother, and that will come out of the mammary gland just after the childbirth. And why this is necessary? Because it is containing rich in nutrients, and it contains certain antibodies like IgG for the baby. So this is very much important that the child after the birth must be fed with the mother's milk, and this mother's milk is containing the colostrum, which is the essential source of nutrients and antibody, that is the immunoglobulin G, IgG for the baby, and which helps to protect it from the various diseases. So this is a case of passive immunity, because here the antibodies are that is fed from the outside. The antibodies is not itself produced by the fetus, they are in the mother's milk. So this is the end of the video. Thank you for watching.